What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Another Disney Podcast. We're so happy that you are joining us again this week. This week, we got a great show. We are going to delve into the question, will Disney ever?
This is another Disney Podcast production.
B. Palm in the house. What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Great. I just felt like the cliffhanger that you left us all on, like I'm dying to know because I have not really sure what we're talking about tonight, but
I don't know.
Will Disney ever?
I'm not really sure what we're talking about tonight either. That's kind of why I just left it as a cliffhanger.
Dun, dun, dun.
In the 30 seconds that they played that Another Disney Podcast production, we probably should have come up with something that we thought Disney might do.
We'll figure it out together. We'll do our super dun, dun, dun music. You ready? There we go. That's our super thematic dun dun dun.
Yeah, I think Disney said that any sound effect we played couldn't be negative. So that sound has to suffice for every sound effect that we have.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to two grumpy old men that talk about Disney. I feel like we should change our
I feel like that should be our new name. Statler and Waldorf talk about Disney.
Yes. Love it. Okay, so Brandon texted me today and sent some great ideas for a show. And I basically was like, nope. I didn't really ask you how you felt about that. But I liked your game idea, so we will definitely save that.
For sure.
Because we've definitely got away from games. Because who likes to have fun on a grumpy old man podcast?
That's right.
Yeah, so I sent you this text and I was like, there's some things that I have questions about that really many people have questions about, but it's really the second one that I wanted to talk about that I was like, I don't think anybody really asks this. And based on what's going on in the past 2 to 3 years, and then the recent announcement, we'll get there, people. I'm just stalling. I have questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer, but I'm not happy with the way things are going. So, two grumpy old men.
You want to talk about a cliffhanger? That is a cliffhanger.
Man, I don't know. Okay, so here we go. Will Disney ever ... And the first question is the question that I think so many people have asked, and that is, I want to say, will Disney ever open a fifth gate? But I know that we'll also get hate mail of, well, you mean the 7th because there's 2 water parks. And technically you're right because they're behind gates to get in. But I look at it as the water parks still to me feel separate. I don't know. So I'll just say, will Disney open another theme park in
Florida?
In Florida. Yes. So I have no idea what Brandon's thoughts are on this. So I'll throw him under the bus and let him go first.
Yeah. So the short answer is no. I don't think Disney will ever open a 5th, 7th, another park in Orlando. I just don't think that it's feasible money-wise. I don't think it's feasible plan-wise. There's just too much that goes into building a brand new park that's not going to fit into the plans now. Will it happen sometime in the next 50 years? Yes. Will we be around to see it? Probably not. I just think that they could probably do a little bit of expansion to existing stuff as opposed to opening up a 5th, 7th gate.
Expansion. Please expand on your expansion talk.
So expansion, right? So we've seen it in the parks kind of already, right? So Galaxy's Edge, they put a new and exciting land based on one of their IP intellectual properties into an existing park to make that park more exciting. Out on the West Coast, they built a Avengers campus. And they put that in an existing location to enhance that location. So I think that is more of a feasible plan going forward than to build new parks.
Okay. So here's my ultimate hang up with that. First of all, I love it. So that hang up didn't go very well. And I think you're 100% right. There's been so many rumors, right? I just go back to, it's been a while since I've heard rumblings, and obviously I'm sure that's because of COVID and how the world stopped and how businesses lost. I don't know that Disney really lost money, but they just weren't making it like they had been. But there was rumblings of, if you take the Rafiki area at Animal Kingdom, people thought that would be a great place for Zootopia, because a Zootopia is definitely being built at one of the other parks in the world. I don't remember where it is.
Yeah.
So like that park makes sense. That location makes sense. It's not a widely traveled. I feel like there's enough love for that movie, and there's an additional film coming out, right? There's a Zootopia 2, I believe. I don't know when the launch date is, but so like something like that I could see. But now I want to talk about the Marvel thing, because I think anybody who knows and follows Disney and loves Marvel knows kind of the backstory here, but I imagine there's still a lot of people that have questions about why isn't Marvel really in Walt Disney World? Apart from Guardians of the Galaxy, because that didn't exist. So the short answer is Universal bought rights to Marvel years ago, and then within that contract, embedded that nobody could have anything Marvel at a theme park east of the Mississippi. If you're not good with geography, Florida is east of the Mississippi, which is why in California and Paris, and I'm sure it's going to be coming to the Asian parks as well, there's a lot of Marvel sprinkled in. And when I say Marvel, I mean new Marvel. Old Marvel. Sorry, obviously why the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff is there, because those characters didn't really exist when that contract came to fruition, and they're not like the Thor and the Iron Man and Spider-Man. They're not those classic characters that Wolverine. That's not Marvel. Sorry. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it's DC. I'm not a comic book guy. My brother was. Okay. But so for years I thought this was like Universal signed this, I don't know if it's close to a decade now, but like a 30-year contract. I don't think that's the case. I think that contract stands as long as they keep paying whoever owns Marvel, which is now Disney. So as long as they keep paying, that contract will not end. It's written in that. So the short answer is definitely not anytime soon, and probably never. Because you talk about Disney has a still has, maybe did a stranglehold on Central Florida, right? But Universal's shaking and moving. They're building a whole new park. They've got Mario Land coming, or Nintendo World. I don't know what it's called. They caused a lot of waves and doing some things a little bit differently than Disney did during the pandemic. I don't know. They raised some eyebrows. Obviously, a lot of people will say that Disney is for your younger families, where Universal Studios, it's too many studios, is a little bit more for as your kids get older and want more exciting and thrill attractions, whatever. I'm not going to argue with that. I see the point of that, but I just can't see them being sure, Disney, go make all this extra money that we could make off of it. So that's kind of what was supposed to be the short answer about the Marvel thing.
Yeah, and I agree. I just don't think, Universal is moving leaps and bounds ahead. So Disney's kind of in this place where they're between rock and a hard place. If they're looking now, people are coming to the parks, people are selling out, reservations are selling out, hotels are selling out. So part of Disney is why do we need to build anything else? We have the same stuff and people are still coming. I read somewhere when I was doing a little bit of research for this show, I read somewhere that in Central Florida, the tourism, 80% of the people that come to Central Florida have been here before.
Right.
So 80% of Disney travelers have been to Disney before. So if it was the fact that new stuff, they didn't come because new stuff wasn't there, you would think those numbers would be going down.
Right.
But people are still coming for the same stuff that was at Disney 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So in my mind, Disney's like, why are we going to invest all this money in a new park? Why are we going to invest in these expansions when we still sell out every day? So it'll be interesting to see once that new park, Epic Universe, opens up at Universal Orlando, kind of what that does. I think Disney is going to have to do something. It's not going to be a new park. It's not going to be. It may be a different kind of land. But it'll just be interesting to see if that pulls people away or if those people will still continue to come to Disney, because they're not short on crowds right now.
So Brandon says no. I'm up in the air. I used to be in the camp of, that's never going to happen. But then I just keep falling into this. Look at how much land and how much property is in Central Florida that Disney owns. Like, it's like the size of San Francisco or something like that. And they're using I'm not going to give a number, but they're using a small portion of that land. Now, I know a lot of it is, or a considerable amount could be protected wetlands. I do know that, but there is plenty of property for Disney to build whatever they want. And so here's what I'm going to say. I think it's maybe. The problem is I don't think it's going to be in the next decade.
No.
But I feel like the team can't help but say, let's see how these new Universal parks do. Right? I like, that's what I want to say. Okay, so they're going to build it. It's going to open. Let's see what that looks like over the next 10 years. Do they feel like that draws numbers away from them? And feel like, I feel like the answer is yes. Yes, that's going to draw numbers away from Disney. But the problem that I have with saying that is it's also going to bring people, those of us who aren't the super ridiculous diehard fans, me, that have never even been to Universal Studios, they're going to come and double dip, right? They're going to go to both. They're going to experience both. And so I can't help but think they're going to see this and be like, wow, there's a real opportunity for revenue here. And what could we do? And so that leads us into the next question of, if they did, what could that park look like? And so we can obviously talk about the elephant in the room. That would be a huge hit with fans, and that is Villains. And I think the reason of why that has the potential to be a big hit is Disney could, if they wanted to, I don't know, however, the better phrase to say, potentially use that as a direct competitor for Universal Studios. And since Villains seem to be a little bit more grown up feeling, maybe they could have a little bit more intense rides, more lose your stomach rides, more intense roller coaster rides. And that could be something that could be a direct competitor. I hate that word, or that phrase, but I don't know, but to me, that's low hanging fruit. What I want to know is well, if they didn't do Villains, what would they do?
Yeah. And I agree. Villains is easy. Hey, we make a Villains park. We'll put some cool roller coasters, some 3D rides, make a big scary, Maleficent castle, and we'll rake in money hand over fist. But that's safe. That's easy. What I think that would probably happen, and it all depends on contracts. It depends on other stipulations. But I think the new park would be made up of different sections of smaller parks. So Marvel Campus, a Zootopia, their intellectual properties would be lands that make up a park. Kind of like we have Frontierland and Adventureland, and, in the Magic Kingdom, you have all of these smaller sections of the park. They would all be, a different section. That's the way that I would see any kind of new park going. Yeah. Yes, Villains would be awesome. You could have an awesome Villains fireworks show, where everything's purples and oranges and greens, crazy fireworks show. You could have the Villains after hours that they had at Magic Kingdom was super popular, sold out as soon as it was announced. So we know that there is a yearning and a clamoring for this Villains.
Right.
I feel like it's, unless you're really into those Villains, I feel like it's almost like Galaxy's Edge. Everyone will rush there to see it once, experience everything that's there, and then, it is what it is. You've been there.
That'd be the empty park to go to.
That would be the empty park.
Well, it depends on what the attractions are, right? If you, let's just say they made it more of a teenager and up feel, right? Okay, so you bring that crowd and they're like, that becomes their favorite park because the rides are better or the rides are more enjoyable, right? Oh, I'm going to go there for my more intense attractions. And so, but again, like it's easy to say all this, like they could just tear down a section in a existing park and create a more intense ride, and then they help fill that void. So but you're right. But I tell you, based on what we've seen in all the years that you and I have gone to Mickey's Not So Scary, the line, like people go just to meet those villains because that's I mean, how long are those lines that we see people standing in to get a picture with Jack Skellington?
Yeah, I mean, people wait for 2 or 3 hours.
That's insane.
Get a picture. Like they basically buy a ticket to the party to stand in line to meet Jack Skellington.
Yeah, because it's so rare to meet those. So there's clearly a demand for that. Like if I lived there and that was my jam, I would have to buy 2 because I would spend a night meeting characters that you never get to see, and then I would want to go and enjoy the party. Yeah. So it's I like your idea of just make it we'll call it IP. It's the new IP, intellectual property park.
The IP Kingdom.
IP Kingdom, yeah.
The IP Kingdom, yes.
So I don't know. I'm torn. Like it's hard to me. Like I feel like when it comes to Disney, never say never. But man, I don't think it's. I don't think it's in the next decade.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think it's in the future at all in Florida. Like we were talking before the show, if Disney's going to build another park somewhere, I think it's going to be somewhere else in the world. I mean, you go to Australia, you could go to Japan, you could, there's so many other places, in the US, you're kind of limited to where you could put it because you need a place that can be open year round. Right. Mm-hmm. So
Weather
if you're not Florida,
factor.
You look at, you can't go the Gulf Coast because there's hurricanes.
Yeah.
Texas, hurricanes and super hot. Like Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, like super hot.
Yeah.
And then, you get above the mid latitudes and it's closed half the year. So I think your options are super limited in the United States, which is why I think if they open another park, it would be somewhere else in the world.
Yeah. It's it's hard to say. Like, here's the answer. Like we would obviously love this, and we're struggling with the why. Like, and so certainly people who have have to spend all of those zeros after those big numbers to make that theme park become a reality. I just can't. Where the why is not big enough. The need isn't big enough. Well, I mean, I think the need is big enough based on how full they are, which I think goes well into the next longer one that we wanted to talk about. And that is, will Disney ever build another hotel at Walt Disney World? Now, I know
that's not DVC.
Yes. I was going to say, now I know everybody's looking at me like, you can't be serious. They've built like 3 and just announced another one in the past 3 years. Yes. The problem that I have is that they're DVC. Now, I want to unpack something here that is very, I'll use the even stronger adjective, extremely rare in today's world that only Disney can get away with. And that's timeshares. You can call Disney Vacation Club all you want. It's a timeshares. And everywhere else in the country, a timeshare is to put it nicely, an horrific investment. Horrific. And so my problem with that is, obviously I don't have the metric or the numbers to know why, but clearly there is a reason why they just keep building timeshares. Disney Vacation Club hotels. And now, let's think about it, right? Now, we know the one, it definitely got scrapped for real. So we'll talk about the one that got scrapped for real. And that was the one that was over by Wilderness Lodge. They were going to build something. It looked amazing. And that has been
Reflection or something.
Something like that. And it's done. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know we just got done saying Disney never says never, but they got rid of the team. They didn't pulled the permits. It's dead in the water. That I can say for sure. But Riviera, right? Incredible, beautiful, but it was timeshare, right? It's DVC. And then they just announced the Polynesian DVC.
Yep.
So now, what was were there any rooms tied to, what was the big convention-y thing that they built at
Coronado Springs? I think I think some of the rooms in the tower at Coronado Springs may be DVC. I may be wrong on that, but I think that's some of those. Because, I mean, Coronado Springs is the one resort that's kind of feels convention-y and very touristy. So I think they built that tower with apparently the awesome restaurant at the top, Topolino's Terrace. Heard it's awesome. But that may be. But yeah, everything.
Grand Destino Tower. That's what it was called.
Grand Destino. That's what it's called. But yeah, that may be a little bit. But yeah, everything Disney-wise, hotel-wise, is a timeshare property. Now, you go to, and I don't only say this because we went there all the time. You go to Williamsburg, Virginia, to the timeshare properties, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to go stay there, but we got to go to this 4-hour meeting. And because they slapped a mouse on it and said it's going to be grand, everybody's clamoring to get these things. So it baffles me too. I assume it's a good deal depending on where you stay. But yeah, it's a timeshare. And I wish they'd stop building timeshare hotels. The thing I notice is that it's becoming more and more lucrative and more enjoyable to stay off property. The hotels that they're building around Walt Disney World have way better amenities than anything that's on property.
Okay.
So I think that's really where they're missing the boat.
So I did look it up, and I guess that one counts, and that's been in the last 5 years that it opened. Is that fair? Or has it been?
Yeah.
Okay. So I forgot about that one before I picked this topic, but it doesn't change the fact that they're opening these just DVC resorts. And so clearly there's a demand. And obviously, like, what saves these is you're attached to Disney. So it's the people like us who like to keep going to Disney, and basically that's where they want a vacation the most, or every year or every 2 years, which I see that draw. I definitely see that draw. But I just find it odd that they just keep building and announcing those. Let's just break it down. Let's break it down into all the categories. All right. So I'll ask this one. Will Disney ever build another value resort? Yes or no?
I don't think so.
I agree. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think there's plenty of them. There's 5?
Mm-hmm. And there's not enough. They don't make as much money, right? Obviously, the profit is not as high. Okay, will Disney make another? Will they build another moderate resort?
I could see them building a moderate resort. I think that there is more of aside from the Disney Vacation Club, there's more people go to like Caribbean Beach Resort or Coronado Springs or French Quarter and Riviera. I think that is a good draw because you get some of the cool amenities from Deluxe, good pool, water slides, things like that. But it's not $800,000-$900,000 a night. So I think they will, because that's where the sweet spot is as far as attracting people.
You stole my phrase. I agree. I think that's their sweet spot. I think the next one we'll see will be that. And of course, that, I guess, in effect, literally just happened at Grand Destino Tower. Of course, I feel like that's a double purpose, right? I mean, the average rooms are 175 square feet. That is a little bit bigger than the average moderate square footage for a room. But it's it's in a great spot. Like, I get it. I think that is, like you said, the sweet spot area for, like, I would guess that most people book on property are going to choose moderate over value or deluxe, just for better bang for your buck, I guess to say. And then last question, do you think that they'll build another deluxe resort?
I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because the draw of the deluxe resorts, most of them, is their proximity to theme parks. So the problem with that is that there's no more space in proximity to theme parks. They're putting up the DVC between Polynesian and Grand Floridian. There's not much space between Contemporary and Polynesian. There's a road and everything that goes through there. So I just don't think that they have in order to make them deluxe, they have to give you kind of things. You got to have boat transportation there or direct monorail transportation there. And I don't think that there's anywhere else other than where they were going to put that hotel by Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness Campground.
Right.
That's the only place I could really see them.
Which was going to be a
putting
DVC
another
anyway.
resort. Yeah, it was going to be DVC. Now maybe that'll come back and say, hey, we're scrapping the DVC idea, but we're going to make this another deluxe resort. Yeah. There's a lake there that you could have a beach. Like they could make it a nice deluxe resort.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that's happening. I do not think that they will do a deluxe. So I think it'll be a moderate. I think they could break ground within the next decade. Like just judging where we're seeing right now at spring break, I mean, there's nowhere else to stay, and so certainly as like, if I owned a Disney, I would look at that as, well, dang, we don't have enough rooms. We're losing money. Right. I mean, you just like, as exciting as it is to be packed to the hilt, somebody who owns a company is going to think, man, if we only had more rooms, look how much money we'd be making. Now, obviously we know there's an ebb and flow of how like crowds and popularity goes. I either talked about it on this show or Planning for the Magic. I can't remember, but I think this is a spike based on where we've been in our world for the past 3 years. And I think this too will come down. This is the excitement. People feel good about traveling again. Maybe they save their stimulus, just got their taxes back, whatever. Right. Like I understand the not many people were traveling that used to, right? If you took a yearly vacation, you might not have done that for a couple of years just out of safety and concern. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've beat that horse, but I can't I can't process that. Are that many people buying? Are they out of like DVC sales? Like, it just blows my mind that they're going to build that other monster Days Inn right next to the Polynesian.
It's a little bit nicer. It's like a Spring Hill Suites.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Oh, it just does not scream monorail loop to me. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those.
Yeah, but before we just move on from that real quick, I was just going to tie it into our first topic and say that's why I don't think they're going to build another park, another Fifth Gate, another full-scale theme park, because there's nowhere to put the people that are going to come to it. There's just nowhere on Disney property. Think about if you build a Magic Kingdom-esque Villains Park. I mean, the Magic Kingdom holds 30, 40, 50,000 people. There's no way for 30, 40, 50,000 people to stay in Florida. So it's just like the roads down here. They keep building houses and houses and houses and houses, and we have two-lane roads through everything. So that's why I don't think that's why I don't think there'll be another park either.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of people know that about Florida. Like when we came down for our guys' weekend, I was shocked by like how quickly you can get out of the Orlando area and how quickly it feels like you're in the dirt. Like there's cows and there's nothing. Like there is so much land to build on. But I'm with you. Like the existing interstate is just construction 24/7 for 70 years, and they just keep building houses. There's not enough roads and room and jobs and people. It's crazy. I don't know how I don't know how y'all do it. Okay, you had brought up a few good ones that I think we should talk about. A couple of them are touchy, so I like that. So the first one you said is, will Disney ever get rid of annual pass?
Yeah, and when we started talking about the show, the reason I thought about this and the reason that everybody like complains about on Facebook and all the blogs and everything is that they're like, Bob Chapek came out and straight up said that annual pass holders are not as valuable to him as day and regular ticket guests. So you have to think, we're talking 10 years down the road. Do we get to the point where everyone pays to go to the park? I mean, we got a little bit of taste of that. Right now, they're not selling any annual passes. So technically, they did do away with annual passes. So maybe this is a trial run for like, hey, we're still raking in people. The reservations are still sold out every day. And we aren't selling passes. So do we really need them? So that's kind of why I thought about that one. And you having just recently let yours go, I think,
expired.
you still do a Disney podcast. We still talk about Disney. So like your life hasn't changed that much because you got rid of it.
That's right.
And if you come visit, you'll probably buy a ticket if you want to go to the park.
Pretty sure that's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know. Like, again, I've shared my why, and that was just this was a decent gap, and it didn't make sense for me to waste a whole bunch of months that I knew I wasn't going to be there. But I did do it at the risk of what if they don't start selling them again by mid to late summer, which based on the crowd level now, I'm with you. What is the need to even bother? So, will Disney ever? I could see a time where that happens. Yes. I don't think it's anytime soon. Mostly because, I mean, again, I could be wrong because how many times if all of our speculation is nowhere near to being right. But like we've said this over and over, Disneyland in Anaheim is 100% a locals park. And so if you took that away, that uprising would be loud, swift, and strong. And so enough that I would think could turn the boat back around. But
again, Disneyland is a different animal,
right?
Disney World is a different animal. I mean, it's 4 parks. It's a world destination. Right. They could keep them at Disneyland and do away with them at Disney World.
That was what I was going to say. I don't think that they will in the near future, but I could see a time where it's just like, hey, you bought yours today and you'll be the last person to have one forever at Walt Disney World. I could see that. But I don't know. It's hard for me to think that they'll get rid of that. Like it would just be it would definitely be a thing that no other theme park is doing. Like any theme park worth their merit has some type of, like, we live pretty close to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, and I have had an annual pass that's laughable. I pay $6.29 a month for mine. I'm never getting rid of it. And they still make their money, right? They're not making it off of me, but they still make their money from other people.
Yeah.
So, and I get it from a ownership standpoint, like, dang, like we could make so much more money, but I still think like, certainly there's a room full of really smart people that have looked at this over and over again, and they know, are they losing money on some? Yes, but you got somebody like me who I have to put forth quite a bit of effort just to break even living 800 miles away.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not the one, I don't live like you 8 minutes away, that let's just say you were retired and you went and 4 days a week walked at Disney to stay healthy. Right. Like, yeah, they're not making any money off of you. You're just going there to do exercise and be in a place that you love, right? I mean, certainly there are people that do that pretty regularly. And so, but I would say most people are still going and they're buying something and they're getting a treat and they're still spending money. Yeah. They're not spending vacation money, but they're spending money. No. I mean, how many times do y'all go, even if it's for a couple of hours? Don't lie. Y'all at least spend $17 on Starbucks, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, $17 on Starbucks. If we're not at the Magic Kingdom, I spend at least $30 on beer. I mean, that's 2 beers. That's 2 beers. Yeah. But I mean, very few times do we go to a park and not buy something.
Right.
Because, you're still in the Magic. You're like, hey, Starbucks in Magic Kingdom tastes way better than Starbucks on Sidell Road. Like, it's just, you just got, Krista loves Starbucks, and it's just,
It's
so you're always going to buy something.
It's more magical.
It's more magical. And, I like going back to your point. I don't think they'll ever stop selling them because, I mean, people like you used to be. I mean, you're going to pay $1,500, $1,600 for an annual pass and maybe never use it for 8 months. And they've just collected $1,200 of your $1,600 for nothing.
Yep.
Like, you're not taking up their space. You're not, they're not spending any money on you. You're just giving them money every month. So, I can see it going both ways. I don't think it'll happen in the near future, but I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, I could. It would not surprise. It would not surprise me if within the next 10 years, like there was a significant change into what that looked like, or they also just tried to price people out. I think that's a real legit option. Now you said something that like, this is comical. I've never been to either one of these. And
Yeah.
so, and to be honest with you, between the two of them, they barely totaled 12 months open to begin with. So, and you said, could they close a water park? And my answer is absolutely. I think they will. If not both of them.
Will too. I think they will too. Like you said, very rarely are both water parks open at the same time. You know, when one opens, the other one closes for refurbishment, and vice versa. So they're very rarely open at the same time. If the weather gets below 70 degrees, which for a couple months of the year, we got some days in there that happens, it closes down. I personally think like it's a tremendous waste of cast resources and water and all of that other stuff. Like you could bulldoze both of those. You want to know where to put another gate? There you go.
Exactly.
Those things take up a huge amount of space, real estate. I think they go from right over by Epcot. You know, the road that separates Epcot, I forget, Victory Way, or I forget what it is. So they go from Epcot all the way over, like the back of it is over almost to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Like it is a tremendous amount of land that I don't think it's used enough to justify that it's there. So
and it's one of them.
See it closing.
One of them is not that far from Disney Springs either. Like,
no,
so they,
no,
it's
that's
a
Typhoon
huge,
Lagoon.
Yeah, it's a huge, massive space. And I'm talking out of ignorance. I've never been to them, but for example, when I look, I've never been to Volcano Bay, but the videos I've watched, holy cow! Like the videos I've watched of the Disney, it's not holy cow. It's like, oh, that was something that was built in the 90s. Like that's what it feels like. And then when you look at Volcano Bay, but B, I hate to keep using ours, but when I think of like a water park, Water Country USA is something very close to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And I've been there a couple times, and it is like a theme park that is a water park. It is immense. The amount of water attractions you could do, I guess it makes sense. It is a water park, but the amount of attractions you can do there is considerable, like so much so that like every time I've gone there, I'm exhausted when I'm done, not because I played in the water all day, but just walking to and fro without like shoes on to like support your feet. It is a massive like endeavor and really, really well done. Is the theming great? Yes, but like there were some cool things that they used to do that are now gone. Didn't one of them have like, you could swim at the top and you could see like the sharks and there were fish swimming down, like, and all that's like done for, right? They don't have that anymore.
I think that used to be a Typhoon Lagoon. Like, back when we went in like 1990, it was super cool. I mean, it's really, there's a wave pool and there's some slides.
Yeah.
And then there's some cool theming. Like, I mean, when you're starting to look at water parks that they're building around the world now, they got water roller coasters and they got like, you know, just crazy, crazy stuff. And Disney just banks on the fact that it's Disney, right? People can come and ride a 80-foot tall water slide that goes straight down, and they'll love it because they're at Disney
and straight up your butt.
Like if that park was in Bumble F,
Wells
Florida,
Park, Idaho,
no one's going to that park. Like it's not exciting enough to draw people. So I think one water park is plenty in Florida. One Disney water park is great. I mean, obviously the numbers that we're not aware of back up the fact that they keep them both open, but I think there could be used much better space wise, and one is great.
Yeah. It's I know why. It's Disney themed. It's hot in Florida in the summer, but they close at like 6:00 at night. Like it's hard to get.
And that's
like,
the problem.
It's hard to get like your money's worth out of it to me. Like
that's the problem, because we had the Platinum Plus pass when they still had that, and that included the water park option. So we were like, oh, it's going to be awesome. Like we can get off work. It stays light till 9:00 in Florida when summertime rolls around. Like we'll go to work, we'll go over there, jump in the wave pool, do the lazy river, and then we drive by and it's like hours, 10 to 6 every day, the whole summer. Like, except when they have that glow party.
Those are cool.
H2 glow, but they're extra money. Like that's not included with your water park. So I don't get the point of them, and I've had it on my pass for a year and went 0 times.
The value's not there. I would say take your day off, spend it at your resort, and go to the pool.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, one more that we'll end with, and this one's pretty interesting. You asked, will Disney ever build more immersive experiences like Galactic Star Cruiser? Well, since you asked, I guess I'll answer first. I think the answer is highly likely if this one is successful, but it doesn't look like it is. Is that a good answer? I don't think it's a good answer.
That was like yes, maybe no.
We haven't really talked about this. We talked about it leading up to it, but I think it's safe to say by our silence has spoken volumes about what we think of this. I can only go what we've read online. I'll be honest with you, when all of the media and then all of the Disney vloggers went, I haven't watched one. And I know some of them are 1 to 3 hour long videos. So they're like full experience. You can get everything you want to know out of it. I haven't watched it, mostly because I'm not interested. But I think this right now has to be categorized as a complete failure. I haven't heard overwhelming in either direction. Is that fair? Like I haven't heard like an overwhelming amount of people like bashing it, but you flip the coin. I have not heard an overwhelming amount of people saying this is the greatest thing in the world. If you're a Star Wars fan, go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been saying that, hey, if Star Wars is your everything, you should do it. But I haven't heard that. That's just me like saying and assuming, right? Well, of course, this is the ultimate Star Wars experience. How much more like enveloped can you be in that world other than doing something like this? So why my answer was so weird, I think they obviously just have to look at this and measure it over the next several years, right? You've got to build time in it, like let it grow. I think it ended up being better than I thought it was going to be, but I still can't help but think this is not like Galaxy's Edge, when it was created, resounding success. Like everybody I heard to was like, this place is so immersive. It's so incredible. Holy cow. Wow. And that was even before Galaxy's Edge, Rise of the Resistance opened, because there was that significant delay on both coasts of that happening. And no, what is the ride that was open? I don't know why I can't think of it. Smuggler's Run. I wanted to say Star Cruiser, but that's what we're talking about. Smuggler's Run. I still think it's really cool because I like everything leading up to it, but I get it if you go there all the time or you live there or you love Star Wars. Where I think they fumbled the ball is the experience is the same every time. Like there needs to be a handful of different missions. Perfect. But even still, like the queue is amazing. The witty banter that happens between the guys that come on the radio that are like working in the warehouse where all of the ships are getting repaired. Like I love all that. And then of course Hondo, and like I love everything about it. And then of course you walk into the Falcon, like holy cow. But yeah, the ride I've always enjoyed it. It's really cool, but I get that where like, man, it's hard to make your experience different every time, even sitting in a different chair. So, yeah, long way around. I think they have to watch this. And then the other side of that is, what would they do it on?
That's what I was going to say. Like we talked about this and we're like, yeah, they're definitely going to, because, people at first when Galactic Star Cruiser opened up, like it had all this buzz, and then people saw the video, and then people canceled, and then the media went and took a look at it and shared some videos, and then people were like, well, maybe that's kind of cool. So then it's booked up again. So I think it's just like you said, we got to give it some time. Like it opened, it opened this month, right? So, but like you, I haven't seen anything. Like there's no like in the Orlando Sentinel, even like I've never seen like Galactic Star Cruiser opens this weekend to rave reviews. Like there's nothing that says any of that stuff. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to do it soon, but I think it would be too big of an opportunity to miss if this became successful.
Yeah. And the other thing that's challenging, the other thing that's hard about this, as far as like to me to measure of would they do this again, is it's very pigeonholed, right? Like, do millions of people love Star Wars? Yes, but billions of people don't, right? Yeah. Okay, so like my wife would, if she won a trip, she wouldn't go, right? Like she has zero interest in Star Wars. Now I know that there is obviously a select market that does, and that's a big part of the Disney population. Of course, we are in that, but I think because like 2-day experience, the cost, and that it's just like Star Warsy. And that's basically for the price of like an almost full week's vacation to all the parks.
Yeah.
And so that's where I struggle with, like, they all would also have to look at this of how do we do this so it's more inclusive? Maybe that's the right answer. I don't know. So that's what I would struggle with as to what would it be? Marvel?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that. Like, I feel like Marvel is this generation Star Wars for sure.
For sure.
But then they're trapped with what we just talked about at the beginning of the show with they can't do it in Florida. Yeah. So maybe do they just build something like that in California? That's where I really wanted to go. Where I see this happening is not in Orlando.
I agree. Yeah. I think Orlando, I mean, Star Wars occupies the immersive space that is Orlando.
Yeah.
So you would definitely have to do it at one of the other Disney parks. Hey, maybe it's California, maybe it's Shanghai, maybe it's Paris.
Yeah, Paris is doing a lot with Marvel.
They could do a lot of stuff there. I think they're going to do it at some point. What I think would be a much better idea, and it's not quite as immersive, but if you're going to build an experience, build it around the popular stuff.
Yeah.
Make a haunted mansion hotel. Be immersive. Like you check into the haunted mansion and there's like dune buggies that take you to your, like they push the dune buggies and that's the luggage cart, or like check into the Hollywood Tower Hotel and you take a crazy rickety elevator really to your room. Like things like that is what I think of as like immersive. I'm not like locked in. Like if I want to leave the Hollywood Tower Hotel and go to the park, I can get on a bus and do that. I don't have to be taken on a transporter over to the Batu, and that's all I can see is stuff out the window that's Star Wars. You know what I mean? So that's where I think they could have a lot of success, is just theming the popular stuff. Haunted Mansion, pirate. Like, how cool would a Pirates of the Caribbean hotel?
Oh my gosh!
Like,
all three of them. You said I would be.
I mean, there's like in the middle. There's like a big pool, like a wave pool with like a pirate ship, and like nightly shows where there's pirate fights with swords. Like this would be sweet. Yes. That's what I think of as fully immersive, not locked in a.
I don't know if you ever got to see
Star
it,
Cruiser.
But I immediately went to the outside stage show that used to happen at Treasure Island in Vegas. There was a full like pirate show with these boats that so like that was incredible. But that would be that would be an amazing experience. Yeah. And like think about like so many things you could emulate from the ride, like the dinner, like wherever you would sit down for dinner in the family room for the Haunted Mansion Hotel. And then of course all of the ghosts would come in and dance like they do for the parade, like that, like, oh my gosh. And then the Gravediggers could come out and do their thing. Oh, so much. I feel like that's a whole nother episode.
That's going to be reimagineering for something.
Yes. Oh man, this is good. This is good. I like talking about this because these are hard questions that like, and of course, all of this, I wonder, I also can't help but think how different could our answers have been, or what our thought process have been, if Disney was just still raking in billions and billions and billions and COVID never happened. Right. Yeah. I can't help but think that like, oh yeah, why wouldn't they? Of course they would. They're definitely going to open another gate. But now I'm all like, man, don't think it's Orlando and don't think it's anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the problem is you just look at things like Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy, and like those things have taken 4 years to build. Could you imagine how long it would take to build a park?
Yeah.
Like it's just It's just unbelievable to think of. So, yeah, interesting questions that definitely have interesting answers.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, we're purely speculating, and 5 years from now, Disney will probably have a brand new park open with 6 new hotels and get rid of DVC.
Yes.
And they'll be like, those stupid Another Disney podcasts people have no idea what they're talking about.
Those grumpy old men are so dumb.
Those grumpy fools.
Oh, this is good. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Another one in the
man.
books.
Another one in the books.
And I guess until next time, bicycle.
Peace.